The fight for justice is alive. I've been telling you about voter suppression going on right now in America. 34 states considered voter ID laws this year. And folks, let's be clear. This is not random. It's orchestrated by a corporate-funded right-wing operation known as ALEC that is funneling legislation to the states. But people are standing up across the country and fighting back. In Wisconsin, the League of Women Voters just sued to block its voter ID laws. In Texas and South Carolina, the Justice Department is now investigating if these laws violate civil rights. In Tennessee, 2 Democratic lawmakers officially filed a bill to repeal it. And I'm happy to report the 96-year-old victim of voter suppression we introduced you to now has her ID to vote in Tennessee. Fighting for justice isn't easy, but it's powerful. Joining me now, Mike Turner, the Tennessee House Democratic chairman. He's fighting to repeal the voter photo ID law. And Judith Brown Deanius, the co-director of the Advancement Project, a civil rights organization focused on issues of democracy and race. Thank you both for joining me. Judith, what is the best way to fight these radical laws?
You know, Reverend Sharpton, we're finding ourselves in a moment where Americans are connecting the dots to corporate greed. We understand that corporate greed has taken our homes, they have taken our jobs, and now they are trying to take our vote. And so Americans are fighting back. We're seeing the folks in Tennessee take it on, in Pennsylvania, where it's still being considered. There was a rally just a few days ago because Americans are sick and tired. We know that we cannot allow voter suppression to take our voice away, and we are going to fight it every step of the way.
Now, that may seem to some people watching us like it's extreme, but let me show people the founder of ALEC, Paul Weyrich, in 1980, talking about how he doesn't want everyone voting. Imagine somebody saying this.
I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
Now, this is the founder of ALEC, who is the group that's pushing this voter ID legislation around the country, recommending it to states, pushing it through with some of the corporate funding that Judith is talking about. Let me go to Tennessee, to you, Representative Turner. In your state of Tennessee, let me show you this graph so that people will understand the context of your fight. 126,000 registered voters and 675,000 people of legal voting age don't have voter ID. If you don't do what you're doing, these people potentially will not vote, and it can be decisive in the outcome of an election.
Yes, sir. They're trying to disenfranchise basically Democratic voters, and they're putting a real strain on senior citizens and people in rural areas that don't have access to driver's license stations where they can get the photo ID.
Now, what are you trying to do in your legislation, in the state Senate, and how successful do you think you'll be?
Well, Senator Finney and I, out of Jackson, Tennessee, have filed a bill to repeal what we did last year. Last year, this bill kind of got caught up in all the other crazy bills that were going through, tort reform, the attack on teachers, the birther bills and those type things. And I don't think the media quite caught on to what they were doing. I think now, though, after we've had time to vet this bill, it's starting to get out how bad this bill is. And I think a lot of Republicans, and we had a couple of Republicans vote with the Democrats last time to try to defeat this bill. I think some of the Republicans are having second thoughts about this. They've been put under a lot of pressure by their constituents, and I'm hoping we can have enough Republicans join us to repeal this law.
So you're saying Republicans have had some second thoughts about this because of the public reaction?
Yes, sir. That appears to be that. We've been in touch with some of them, and that appears to be the case. But hopefully we can get more of them to join us. We'll need about 16 to join with the Democrats to repeal this bill.
Well, we're going to keep the public informed on this. Judith, let me ask you, the states that you are very concerned about ID laws are Wisconsin and Texas, am I right?
That's right.
Explain that to us.
Yes, in Texas, we know that there are 600,000 already registered voters who do not have the photo ID.
Wow.
In Wisconsin, we also know that 50% of African American voters do not have ID. And so these are two places where we know there is a disparate impact. And what is great about what is happening is because we are educating the public about it, we're going to see some Republicans hopefully moving back from this because we're debunking the myth of voter fraud. When you pull back the curtain, we know that this is all about old-time voter suppression.
Let me show you how right you are. Let me show you this very quickly about Wisconsin. In 2004, out of 3 million voters, 26 confirmed cases of fraud. 3 million voters, 26 fraud cases. So this is bogus as a huge problem. This is really about disenfranchisement. Let me thank you, State Representative Turner, and thank you, Judith, for being on with us again and your work in the Advancement Project. Thanks and good luck, and both of you have a great weekend.